So, I just realized that the whole feminism versus patriarch struggle or tug of war that we currently experiencing, or should I say, this current war between men and women right now that we're experiencing, I realized that yes, feminism, to some extent, as I've also shared, is breaking our families up. It is ruining our families. But then at the same time, femininity is now taking over. It is a time of reawakening and change and rebirthing, right? Because we are in the age of Aquarius. So, one of the other things that the major things or changes or evolutions that are happening right now is there's a big need, universal need for emotional intelligence. Now, given our histories and our pasts for our genders, men were raised to be a particular way, and so were women raised to be another way. So, at some point, yes, the state of the world called for both genders to now provide. Now that we are past that phase, and now it's not a matter of our now generations just losing the whole purpose of marriage or the whole purpose of long-term relationshiping, because if you look at the stats, there's a high rise in divorce amongst older generations. There are women and men who are divorcing in older ages, 50s, 60s, and all of that. Now, the reason for that is because the universal need for emotional intelligence is forcing this major breakdown in relationships. I mean, right now, we as women don't need our men to just provide, because I know I can do that for myself. So I need more of you than just you bringing in the bacon. There's more of you that I, as a woman, now need. So generations back, that's all the woman needed, just for him to go out, bring the food and provide, and we carry on. And I'll just wallow and go speak to my grandmother about the issues that I'm having with you, and you'll just tell me that, dude, that don't matter. You just carry on being a wife and everything will work out. Just keep on raising your kids. So now we need to start looking at things um, on a deeper level, in the sense of understanding what's really happening to us, not to us, maybe for us universally, um, as a people, as a being, as human beings, right? Rather, we are missing it by not understanding this evolution or revolution of man that is happening to us. By men, I mean both genders. We are missing that growth and evolution. Right now, the whole trend of us talking healing, traumas, the whole narcissism, the whole my anxiety, the whole, if we realize it is all just talking about mental health and emotional health too. So these things don't just happen out of the blue. They happen because that is what all our minds at some point are downloading. So we can go in and blame the matrix to say it feeds us certain things, but nothing is fed without really having a bigger source. So the big source is actually pushing each of us to start looking at how we want to develop as individuals, firstly. So that's why there's this whole push on self care, self love. And that's why things like COVID took place. As much as, yes, it was man made to a large extent, but nothing that is not supposed to happen will happen. So that happened because it had to happen, right? So, right now, the disconnect that is happening between us men and women is because there's a large need of emotional intelligence in our relationships that's lacking. So women are needing men to be more emotionally intelligent. I need you and I to meet halfway. That's why even now men have put their worth higher. And these are men who have healed. These are men who are self aware. These are men who don't just want wives who are there to just sit and not contribute to their well being. They don't want wives who can bring the bacon to the table as well. Yes, do that, have your own, because now it's not a matter of me bringing 50% and you bringing the other 50%. We are all forced right now to bring 100 and 100. We are all wanting to meet each other in better positions, and not better just financially, but on a mental and an emotional level. That's what's happening. So this whole discord is happening because still a large number of us that's refusing to apply self-care and self-healing. That's why we get women who are hating women who are in healthy relationships, and vice versa, right? Because it's becoming uh abnormal for us to see healthy relationships. But these healthy relationships exist because there are still a large number of us that we hardly see that actually practices self care before making it a whole united care or union care towards a relationship. There are relationships that even over times and generations before that were able to actually mind themselves first as individuals so that that whole thing can eventually work out somehow. And what we see is just that we made the mistake of applying the more generic, traditional relationship tone of the man just working and the woman staying at home. There were and there still are relationships that are healthy on a mental and emotional level, which is why they survive over time. And some of these relationships that started off on the more unhealthy traditional form, over time they reached a point where they were able to communicate their feelings better, and that improved the relationship. So this whole thing that is happening of less women wanting to be in relationships, less men also wanting to be in relationships, is not caused by the whole feminist movement or the patriarch movement. These topics are getting kind of old because now we are more self-aware. So it is still all up to individuals to make themselves better. I, for one, know that I now uh personally am in need of relationships, be it business, be it family, be it even romantic relationships that meet me somewhere on a mental and an emotional level. We are not just doing things for the sake of doing them anymore. Who are you? And what are you doing about yourself? What are you changing about yourself? Because it's a beautiful thing for us to be able to speak about our fears, to speak about um, our pain, to speak about our wins too, and to speak about what we're working on, our weekly, daily, monthly, yearly changes that we're working towards. So it's all actually just very spiritual. And as I said in my last video, spirituality is not external, it's internal. So the universe is actually calling for each of us to be more personal and be more real about things. So relationships and I'm loving it. It hit me today and I was like, wow, that's actually a beautiful thing that's happening. And we shouldn't be scared of it. It's just we're not noticing what's really happening, and it's bringing a lot of excitement. Maybe it's because I've been paying attention to content that is more positive about relationship building. But this thing really hit me today that we, the life bearers as women, are becoming so much more self-aware that we can easily say, nah, I don't want more children. I'm not really keen on marriage. However, those same women who are comfortable with being single, and we are comfortable with being single because now we are living in a world where we know we can provide for ourselves. There's no excuse for me as a woman to firstly not be able to provide for myself. And there's no reason for me to have a child that I'm not willing to also provide for. So we are evolved in that sense of taking self ownership, right? So it is not that we are saying we are comfortable with being single and we don't want to be in relationships anymore. We're just saying we'd rather wait for equally evolved partners. And also, we are saying we understand that we don't need to be with someone to be fully fulfilled. And I don't know why it's something that we're looking down upon. It's something that we should be celebrating because it means that we are losing this codependency thing that's happening with us. And it also makes sense to the fact of all these different sexual preferences that are popping up all around us. It means that people are starting to become more honest with themselves and what they want. And we shouldn't be fighting people for just wanting to explore themselves. Even the ones who make the mistakes of cutting off their genitals to come back and say, actually, I was wrong about doing that. I mean, that's the beauty of choice. You are allowed to come back and say you're wrong. But we should be celebrating this movement or evolution of man that is forcing us all to be okay with being alone. These are just my thoughts. I'm just saying